Shalom, all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the hopeful elect Akim that are teaching this word. Shalom, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. Shalom. So yeah, this picture here is a bottle of beer in Italy. So like the reason why I'm showing this is because like my worldly brother, for example, he's in my worldly brother, he's in Italy at the moment. He's in Italy at the moment. He's in Napoli, and you know he was sending me some pictures and stuff like that. And there was a bottle of beer on the table where he was, and I asked him to send me a picture of the bottle. And I mean that's the make of the beer, and the logo of the beer is a monkey with an Italian afro, a hairstyle as an Italian afro, but like an Italian flag, but in an afro, and it's as you can see like a monkey here. So obviously, my brother doesn't understand these things, but in my mind I'm looking at it like, why would that be the logo of a beer, man? It's that deep rooted hatred that these devils have for Jake, man. And we know that there's a lot of Jakes in Italy and Spain and these lands, but Esau is the one that controls them. So this kind of thing is in like the psychology of the people. Why would you have a monkey drinking beer, but his hair is the color of the Italian flag, but it's like an afro? They're making mockery, man. And these devils, they're gonna pay for things like this. This is a mockery, man. So this is like a bottle of beer there, and that's the logo of it. And these are some devils, man. So I'm gonna read some scriptures here. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 37. It says, "And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee." Yeah, and that's what we've become. We've become a proverb and a byword wherever we are. The N-word, monkeys, whatever the words they use for us, man. The oppression, man, by way of these words. We're not being called by, who we are. None of these nations don't respect us, in particular, the so-called white man. All right. So it says, "And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee." So wherever we're scattered, my worldly brother, he's just in the world anyway, but he was sending me some pictures of where he is, but he's none the wise to stuff like that. He really he's so simple. He really does his best to ignore that kind of thing, even though it's in front of him. The light bulb won't go on in his head to see, hey, hold on a minute. Even though he knows it's there. But I just found that interesting. That logo that's a proverb and byword. That's in the psychology of the people over there, man. That deep rooted hatred towards Jake. So it says, "And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee." And that's what we've become. A proverb and byword, man. Wherever the hell we are, man. It's the system of the so-called white man, the Esau's society, pretty much that's the main thing in Esau's society is, to keep us down, keep the Israelites, keep so-called Negroes down, that total oppression, man. Psychologically, physically, that's the system, the pit, man. So this is what these devils do. So, and that kind of stuff is deep rooted in our people's minds too, man. So that's why this place has got to be destroyed, man. All right. And we're going to do the same to Esau. He's going to become a proverb and a byword in our kingdom. The tables are going to turn. So this is Obadiah 1 and 10. "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever." Yeah, and this is talking about the so-called white man. Who's Jacob? Us, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. Who's Esau, the so-called white man? And what have they done? They've done nothing but violence to us. Oppression. So for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. And shame's covering them now because we're exposing their deeds. Everyone, now the world's, the Lord's pulling the veils. The world's seeing Esau for what he is. He's just the piece of shit oppressor that he is. He's that kingdom he's America that was once looked at as this glistening gold kingdom. Everyone's seeing it for what it is, a low life society, just like the so-called white man that's the head of it. Their low lives, beginning with these wicked elites. So shame's covering them. For how did they get these places? Through violence, man, through oppression. All right. And after they oppressed and destroyed us, then they label us with these words that ain't who we truly are, which is the curses. So it says, shall be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that strangers carried away captive his forces and foreigners entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was one of them. Yeah, that goes into Psalms, pretty much when the kingdom of Babylon was taking down Jake, Esau was helping them. He was pointing us out, helping the other nations take us down. The Babylonians take us down. That's in Psalms. Race it, even to the foundations thereof. They were pointing us out, he was part of it basically, just right until this day. All right. Upon Jerusalem, even thou was one of them. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, because going back into Genesis, we are brothers, Jacob and Esau, but Esau broke the brotherly covenant, man. All right. And we were two different nations when you read in Genesis, two different nations, two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, man. That's why they hate us so much. And they hate us because the blessing's ours, the blessing of the future kingdom. All right. But thou shouldest not have, okay, I read this, Salakia, have rejoiced over the children of Judah. It says, verse 12, but thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. And who's Judah? The so-called Negroes, man. And that's the main tribe, because Judah's the head tribe of our nation. And that's the main tribe Esau loves to oppress. All right. When they say monkeys and apes and things like that, these bywords, they're really pointing the finger mainly at Judah. But Judah really represents all of us. Benjamin, Levi, on down to Naphtali, Ephraim. We're all under Judah, man. So it represents us, but Judah takes the flack of it. All right. So it says that thou shouldest not have entered into thy gate of the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Yeah, helping capture our people. Neither when we're already being brought down by another nation. This is what Esau did. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. Exactly. So what has the so-called white man done unto us? Oppressed us, murdered us. All right. Put these labels on us. The N-word, spics, wetbacks, all this bullshit that is not us, man. But that's labeled on our people. So what they did to us, slavery, we're gonna revert. The roles are gonna reverse when Yahushua comes back. We're gonna do it to them. All right. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. That's Esau, beginning with the so-called white man. Then the Chinese, then the Japanese, then the Arabs, then the Hamites. All these nations, the table of nations, out of the 18 nations, all of them that are not Israelites are gonna be put down, man, because they've oppressed us, man. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. And that's the point on that. That's the point on that. So their reward's gonna return upon their own head. That's Revelation 13. That's Revelation 18. Goes into that. Reward them double. So I'm gonna read this here. But I've got other scriptures here. Lamentation 2 and 15. All right. Lamentation 2 and 15. It says, all that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? Yeah. This is talking about the other nations. They particularly the so-called white man, they point the finger at us, they hiss at us, they mock us. All right. They're at the daughter of Jerusalem, because The elite of this society know that we're Jerusalem. Even these low-level peon crackers, they know that we're better than them. You know? So in the spirit, they know we're better than them. But you see, what happens is they because we're at the bottom, they hiss and whack, they hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? So they mock us in our lower state, basically. All right? All thine enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash the teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly, this is the day we look for. We have found, we have seen it. Yeah, this is what they were. This is what the day they were looking for was the day we were going to be brought down. And now that we're at the bottom, see, Esau, it's all systematic. And Esau, he's at the top of it. But then all these other nations, you know, they lick the wounds of our oppression. All right? But it begins with the so-called white man. So they've looked for the day we were brought down. Now that we brought down, they mock us in our lower state, in our calamity. You know, in our oppression, they mock us. All right? We have found, we have seen it. The Lord have done that which he have devised. He have fulfilled his word that he had commanded in the days of old. He have thrown down and have not pitied, and he have caused thine enemies to rejoice over thee. He have set up the horn of thine adversaries. Yeah, the horn is their power structures, basically, beginning with Esau. We sinned against the Lord, so he brought us down under them, man. That's why they hiss at us. That's why they point the fingers at us. You know, that's why we're being oppressed. That's why you get bottles of beer with images of a monkey with an afro on it. Them, you know, making fun of us. That's why we're called the N-word, the spick, the this, the that, all this bullshit that ain't us. That's been labeled on us. You see? So they've rejoiced at our downfall. But hey, they're gonna get paid back. They're gonna get paid back. So this is Ezekiel 35. To read this here, Ezekiel 35 and 5. Ezekiel 35 and 5. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel. And this is what Esau has had. It's talking about the so-called white man. They've had a perpetual hatred that it's non-stop, basically. That's from the womb, from the beginning, it's been like that. But now we're in this bottom position that we're in. They still continuously oppress us. Nothing ain't stopped. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. And this is what's getting ready to happen to the so-called white man. Blood's going to pursue them. You know, the labels of being called proverbs and bywords going to pursue them. Oppression's going to pursue them. Hell's going to pursue them. Why? Because when the Lord Yahweh Shai returns, that's what he's coming back to do. He's coming back to bring them down, to set up his kingdom. And they're going to be in slavery under us. Because we're going to be joint heirs with Yahweh Shai. And these other nations, they're going to be in slavery under us, beginning with the so-called white man. Because that's who's at the top right now, the Edomites. So it says, therefore, as I live. So according to the scriptures, they've had a perpetual hatred and shed our blood, man. All right. And it says they've had a perpetual hatred, shed our blood. Then it says, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So their judgment's coming. All right. They ain't hated to shed our blood. So the Lord's going to reverse the roles when he returns, man. All right. Deuteronomy 30, and I'm going to read this and end it here. Deuteronomy 30 and 7. It says, and the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. That's right. So that's all these curses that befell us. I was reading Deuteronomy 30 and 28 and 37, which was, you know, the curse of us being called proverbs and bywords was going to be put on us. Well, the Lord's going to reverse that. The curse of us being in slavery, everything written in Deuteronomy 28 from 15 on down, the curses that are upon the children of Israel is going to be put on the so-called white man and all the other nations in the times to come. And the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. All right, so they're going to get the curses put on them. They're going to be proverbs and bywords. They're going to be in captivity. They're going to have their families separated. This is what's coming for the Edomites and all the other nations. So, with that, I'm going to say all praises unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha, Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the hopeful elect Akim that are teaching this word. Shalom, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha, Kodash. Shalom, shalom.